It's great to see people here, and we're going to start, as we always do, by doing a round table. Tell us where you are, what's the weather, and what interesting things have you seen in the sky lately? So I'll start with you, Bob.
Well, I'm in Clinton Township, Michigan, a burb of Detroit, and it is sweltering outside. Wife and I went for a walk and came back. I had to change my clothes.
Hmm.
But other
Anything
than that,
interesting in the sky?
I saw the moon early in the morning the other day,
Okay.
and actually had my granddaughter out. My granddaughter, my 6-year-old granddaughter, came over and says, "Can I look through your telescope?" Yes.
Yes.
So got my telescope out and showed her the moon.
Win for Grandpa. I'll mention right now, this week, I am doing a 2-week internship or I don't know, residency as an Osher Fellow at the Exploratorium, which is the famous science museum in San Francisco. It's been a blast. I've really enjoyed myself. So I'm
Wow.
in San Francisco right now where the temperature might get to 70 if it, really, really works hard at it. It's cool and foggy, and you don't see a whole lot in the sky. But I'm staying with the Jesuits at the University of San Francisco, which is on a place called Lone Mountain, which is this one last hill before you get to the Pacific Ocean. And out my window in the mist, I can see the Golden Gate Bridge. And about 3 nights ago, I was woken up at 3 in the morning by this really weird science fictiony noise, like the aliens were landing that just was vibrating. Turns out when the weather is in the right direction, the cables on the Golden Gate Bridge will sing, and
Hmm.
you can hear it all over this part of San Francisco. Very spooky. Larry, where are you and what you up to?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona. It's cooled off, so it's only going to get up to 101 today. So, and we actually had rain last week. Not much, but some. Um, Seeing the moon. I've been, out early in the morning trying to do some constellation imaging. That's about it at the moment.
Okay. Jim Red.
Morning, Jim here, Anthem, Arizona, just north of Phoenix. It'll be about 104 degrees, clear skies. I saw the conjunction of Venus and and Jupiter. It was really nice. And I have to say that I'm missing the fog, brother Guy. Spent many years at the University of San Francisco and St. Ignatius Church on the campus. It's a
It
good place
is
to be.
a beautiful church. So I was there yesterday for Mass. Michael Drollman.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I live in Wenatchee, Washington, in the center of the state. My wife had a family reunion this weekend, so of course we had horrible weather. It's currently 64 degrees in central Washington, very unseasonable. We've had no sky for the last week or so, and so I don't have anything to report on that.
Okay. Chris Olson.
There we go. Hi, I'm Chris Olson. I am in Batavia, Illinois. Um, it is probably going to be in the 90s today. It's only about 87 right now. Sunny, clear. And what I've been doing lately is I have a Herschel wedge that I built. So I've been staring at the sun for a few minutes at a time.
Okay. Not too long, one hopes.
No,
Carmen.
Hi, I am Carmen from Uruguay, South America. I am actually here. Winter, terrible winter, 10 centigrades the maximum. No watching of the sky because it's very stormy. Thank you.
Okay. Rosemary.
We've been having no luck with our public events this year. We finally had one last Saturday and we got about an hour of observing in,
This is what, New Jersey, right?
even though everything said it's going to be completely clear, these huge black clouds rolled in. I saw the conjunction also for a few nights. I watched Venus and Jupiter, and we just keep looking up. And it's hot here.
Okay, great. Jill, can you unmute?
Okay, just a second. Oh gosh. Yeah, sorry. I was clicking on Trembley's post there. Phoenix, Arizona, same weather as Jim Wren. I saw the conjunction, and I'm doing well. Thanks.
Okay, Richard Sum.
Richard from Corpus Christi, Texas. It's 90 degrees, and as far as you can see, that's it's going to be the weeks ahead. But I've been experiencing my engineering mind, the Lincoln reflecting pool up there. They're going to have the bubbles, the micro or nano bubbles, and I'm trying to scale that, getting that size bubble with galactic sizes using the same kind of dimensional analysis. Well,
Fabulous.
so anyway, that's kind of a excursion on my part.
Great. Fagnoli.
Hi, Frank Agnoli from Davenport, Iowa. Like my neighbors to the east, it's sweltering, upper 80s, 90s, very high humidity, bright sun. Have not had the opportunity to get outside, unfortunately.
Okay. Bob Foley.
Hey, hello. I'm from a town called Tyndall, South Dakota, southeastern South Dakota. And my most recent experience, I just returned last night about 11:30 with a group of, I was a chaperone on a group of 54 high school kids from rural parishes in our area that attended the Steubenville event at the Diocese of Joliet at Benedictine University in Darien. But my astronomical observation is we took the kids into Chicago a day early for what they call a free day, and none of the kids had ever been to Chicago.
Oh,
and we were
wow.
out on Navy Pier looking back up at the city skyline at the moon, nearly a full moon, and it was really dramatic for the kids. And I got a confession, Brother Guy. I'm going to ask for your forgiveness, but the next day we had an option for a tour, and the kids chose the Shed Aquarium over the Alder Planetarium. So I still have some work to do, but I thought you'd enjoy that story.
That's okay. Well, they're looking at aliens either way. Gary. Gary Picorni.
Hi, I'm Gary from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's going to be in the 90s here, and with that warm, humid air here, we're overcast, and during the conjunction we were too. But a couple weeks ago, I went to the local Astronomical Society, had an open house, and this was the first time I experienced, I don't know the technical term for it, but somebody doing this sort of layering of photographs of a nebula over time. So it wasn't just a time exposure, obviously, and that just fascinated me. What was capable, and it was of a portable telescope. It wasn't something else. So very interesting.
Yeah, there's telescopes now that will do that automatically for you. Used to be you had to get the software to do it. David.
Yes, David from Raleigh, and it's overcast and humid here. The other morning, we saw a white circle in the sky, and I think it was a weather thing. Pretty interesting.
One hopes. Jeff.
Well, it's Manorville, New York, which is on Long Island, about 70 miles east of New York City. It's 80 degrees, but it feels like 90. And this week was supposed to get clobbered by the end of the week, which I'm not looking forward to. I saw the Ring Nebula in Lyra and M13. So I got those two things. And here I am. Yeah, I'm good.
We're all very envious. Dennis.
Dennis McCarthy in Denver, Colorado, where it's highs in the 90s this week. Skies are finally clear after last week when the bowl that Denver sits in was full of smoggy stuff.
Okay. Someone I just see as my iPad. Introduce yourself and tell us where you are. Can you hear us?
Well, that may be me, Tom Toll.
That's you, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Tom Toll, north of Philadelphia, hazy, hot, and humid.
Okay. Sean Wilson.
Hello, Sean
Yep.
from living in Los Angeles. I'm here mainly because I'm a fan of astronomy and an old friend of Brother Guy.
Great.
And got this this invite. It says I should look at. I should sit in on that. I didn't know I'd be talking. Honestly.
Yeah, you didn't realize. Tell them where you know me from.
Okay. When I was an undergraduate from at MIT in Earth and Planetary Science, they assigned me a graduate advisor, Guy Consolmagno. Should I tell them the other thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Brother Guy came like a year or two ago to speak at the LA Public Library, and I came to see him.
It was great. We also reminisced on our mutual friend who had played a role in Fiddler on the Roof, and with the review said he made an excellent wimp. So we always thought that was something to aspire to. Bill Higgins.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm having audio troubles this morning. I'm in Aurora, Illinois, and for the last month it's been overcast a lot, so I haven't seen very much of the sky. But I did glance up at the moon. It was nice this weekend, and I look at the moon and smiled as I always do, and that's about all I can say. We had this overcast period when all the exciting things were happening with Venus and the moon and Jupiter. We were socked in every darn night.
Yep, typical. Paul DeSanctis. You actually have a note in the side there, so that's fine. From Chantilly, I guess you would say. Mr. iPhone, I have no idea who that is. Your picture is off. You can wave at us.
Yes, this is Billy Joe in Fort Worth, Texas, near the Macke Meteorite Gallery. And I want to brag that it's only 33 degrees here in Fort Worth, Texas. But unfortunately, that's Celsius and not Fahrenheit. It's 92 Fahrenheit. Clear, warm, humid. We saw the full moon rise over the park in front of my house last night. Just wonderful.
Fantastic. Larry, I'm going to go back to you for a minute if I can. Paul Gabor is not with us, but you've been sort of keeping an eye on what's been happening at our telescope up on Mount Graham. Any news, any experience you've got? You were up there fairly recently, yes?
I was up there in May, April, something like that, or I'll phase into oblivion. And nothing exciting happening. It's shutdown time, so they're doing engineering, working on a few things for automating the focus and alignment of the telescope. I think a lot of that is what's being done, rebalancing, other good things like that. But with Paul being out of the country for the last few months, I'm not sure what's going on specifically.
Right. I've been watching the trouble reports. The last group up there using it are the folks from northern Arizona, and they're characterizing, they're looking for active asteroids and characterizing the colors and spin rates of trans-Neptunian objects, things that I remember doing 20 years ago. It's the kind of ideal topic for a telescope of our size, because you can get down to about 20-second magnitude with a TNO.
It's pretty good for what we do too, which is making sure, a new asteroid isn't going to run into the Earth, or if it's going to, make sure we know when it's going to do it. But so far it's been the other way around. Oh no, it's not going to hit the Earth.
No, the Earth is going to hit it.
It depends on who's going where, but yes.
Indeed, it's going to hurt the asteroid a whole lot more than it hurts the Earth.
This is true.
All right. So having cleared that up, I will now do the reintroduction if we turn this into a podcast. It's my delight this month to have with us Alexa DeSanctis, who is working as an intern this summer in Bob Macke's Meteorite Lab in Castel Gandolfo, and she's coming to us over the internet from Castel Gandolfo in the Vatican City State. And so, Alexa, first of all, turn on your microphone and say hi to the folks here.
Hi, it's nice to meet you all.
Tell me, what's the weather been like in Rome this time of year?
Rome or Castel Gandolfo?
Castel Gandolfo, where you are, yes.
Castel Gandolfo is okay. It is maybe 90 degrees. Rome is 99. Rome is really bad.
What's the difference? Why is it so much cooler where you are? Tell the folks where you are compared to
We
Rome.
are right on Lake Albano, so we have the lake effect.
Yep. And
But
you're a good 500 to 1,000 feet higher than Rome.
yeah, we're
Have
on
you
the
had a
top of
chance?
a hill too. I'm living in a seminary at the very top of a hill. So
Well, as Bob would point out, you're in a laboratory with lasers on the cliff of a volcanic crater. You know,
I've never heard him say that before, actually.
you have all of the trappings of being a supervillain. All you need is a white cat.
Yeah, I've never heard
So,
him make that joke.
well, tell us, how did you get there
How did I get, as
to
in,
where you are now? Yes. Who are you and how did you get to be where you are?
so I am studying applied physics at Boston College. I'm going into my senior year. And this was a Boston College opportunity because Brother Bob is a BC alum and you are as well. So Boston College organized a variety of different Vatican internships. Some are actually in Rome, but three of them are here in Albano slash Castel Gandolfo. But I noticed this one because I had actually heard of the Vatican Observatory before from a podcast clip. I didn't watch the whole, I'm not sure where the podcast is uploaded. I haven't been able to find it, but I saw a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson mentioning the Vatican Observatory, and I just scrolled upon it unintentionally on YouTube once. So I've never been able to find the full podcast, but I had heard of the Vatican Observatory before. So when I saw that Boston College was organizing this, I took full advantage of that.
I remember that. Yeah, Neil has a podcast, and he had me on as a guest one time. I think we were probably talking about the Star of Bethlehem and other such things. It's a funny thing. Neil, earlier in his time, would be very skeptical of religion, but lately he's appreciating the things that the Jesuits have done in the name of science, which is a nice thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what got you interested in doing STEM sorts of things in the first place?
So I lived in Arlington, Massachusetts, which is right outside of Boston, until I was 9 years old. And then I moved to upstate New York, but now I'm back in Boston for school, so I just say that I'm from Boston. I got into STEM. I didn't really choose physics until I was a junior in high school. I'm very good at memorization, and that got me pretty far until I got to physics. So physics, I ran into this challenge of, oh, I can't just memorize it and then spit it back out at you. I have to actually think and I have to problem solve. And I liked that I couldn't get everything right away because it made it more rewarding when I finally did. So that's how I ended up with physics. If you're asking how I ended up specifically in Italy, I had always been meaning to come to Italy. I almost studied abroad here 2 summers ago, but it didn't work out. But my whole family is Italian. I am adopted by a big family of Italians from Sicily. So my grandma always wanted me to come to Italy. She unfortunately passed away in January, and this opportunity presented itself right after. So I never got to tell her about it, but that worked out nicely. So.
Yeah, what kind of family you come from? What do your folks do?
My mom works in sales. I don't have a dad because I was adopted by a single mother. My uncle,
Okay.
who's on the call right now, is an electrical engineer.
So he was a
Um,
bit of a role model for you then.
yeah, I have worked with him before.
Well, it's fascinating kind of background. And I have to know, since have this BC connection, where did you live and where do you live now when you're in Boston?
So first year I lived in Loyola in CLXF on Upper. So I was very happy I wasn't on Newton.
Right.
Second year I
I was living in CLX when I was a freshman.
Yeah, I love CLXF, honestly. I think it was probably one of the best places you could be as a freshman.
I mean,
And
the
then
buildings are just these cinder blocks. I think we broke, through holes through the cinder blocks from what I have
they
no
still
idea how it's
are.
still, I have no idea how it's still standing after,
Yeah, they still
100 years
are.
of students in
And also
it.
at the end of every year, or at least at the end of last year, there was a lot of vandalism, like on the last day of school, because the seniors go to visit the freshmen and they just went really wild last year. And
Oh
I think
no.
they like ripped out parts of the wall. So, but it's repaired
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And then sophomore year, I lived in 90, which I hear has been renamed in the past 7 days. Someone just
Oh,
donated some money and it's going to be named after them. So it's no longer called 90, but it used to be. And
okay.
then this past year, I lived in 2K or 2000 Commonwealth Ave, which was basically off campus, but it counted as on campus housing.
Okay. So do the different houses there have reputations like this is where all the jocks are and this is where all the nerds are?
I know where the hockey team always ends up, but that's always they get good housing because they need proximity to Conti Forum for their
Uh-huh.
practices.
Of
But
course. Of
the
course.
hockey team always ends up in the same building. Other than that, I don't really know.
Mhm.
I feel like there's more of we all know who got the short end of the stick. I mean, if someone says, "Oh, I'm a sophomore and I'm living in Williams," it's like, "Ooh, that's
Mhm.
terrible."
Right. So you've been doing now physics and applied physics. The applied physics program there is fairly new, as I understand. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I hear that they posted something, the Career Center, they posted something about the careers that you can go into as a graduate with an applied physics degree. And they had a little comment at the bottom and it said, note that not all of these are actual roles filled by BC applied physics grads because there are only two, one of which is currently getting a PhD. So it's a pretty new program. But I chose it because there was more flexibility. I got to choose which set of intro sciences I wanted to take. So I have sort of shifted my degree to be more biophysics focused. I took a full year of anatomy and physiology. I'm going to take biophysics. I'm going to take microbiology. I took molecules and cells. So I don't technically, there was some weird issue with why I couldn't get a minor in biology, but I'm basically getting half of the coursework of biology as well, which I couldn't have done with a normal physics degree. And I also, we take our math requirement for applied physics majors, we get to take linear algebra and differential equations smushed into one semester. And if you're an actual physics major, you don't get to do that. And I didn't get out of any of the core requirements because the way that I did APs is I took all of the AP classes, but I only took the STEM AP exams because I thought that that would show that I really cared about STEM. But it turns out you can't use AP credits to get out of classes that are for your major. So I didn't get out of any of them, and I didn't take the exams, the ones that I could have gotten out of. So I didn't get out of any of the core. So to be able to condense those two math semesters into one helped me a lot since I had to fulfill every single core requirement at Boston College.
Ouch. Which is a lot. So describe some of the research that you've done before you came to Castel Gandolfo.
Yeah, so last year I started working with Dr. Naughton and Dr. Connolly in their biophysics research group. I do cell culture and qPCR and other cell type of wet lab work under the hood. And that was cool because there's kind of two different experiments that they're working on at once because Dr. Connolly is a biology professor and Dr. Naughton is strictly a physics professor. So they're kind of two separate things, but they end up coming together down the road. But one of the experiments that they're doing is trying to induce a certain macrophage polarization in raw 264 cells, which I believe are from mice. And they're like macrophage cells from mice. And then the second experiment actually stemmed off from mistake that went on when they were trying to do the first experiment. They accidentally killed all of the cells when they were trying to do an experiment for the first one. But Dr. Naughton said, this doesn't have to be a failure. What if we take this and we think, well, are there any cells that we actually would want to kill? Is there anything that we could do this and see it as an intentional, oh, yeah, we were trying to kill the cells. And so there's a separate experiment where they're trying to use nanoparticles and ultrasound to kill cancer cells.
So you suddenly have this biology background and you show up in a lab full of rocks.
Yes.
Be honest, what was your reaction the first time you saw the meteorite collection?
I didn't know it would be this large. On paper, so I've heard you guys throw around the number 1,200, but on paper, from what it looks like, from what I have right in front of me, there's over 1,500. So I didn't realize it'd be so large, and then I was confused about where they all came from. So I had to ask. I was like, do you just hope that everyone gives them to you whenever they find them? And I was told that there was one guy who collected meteorites. He had his own collection, and then when he passed away, he donated them all to you. So that's how most of them ended up here.
Okay, and that was back in the 1930s. But since then, we've gotten other interesting meteorites. How many meteorites have you physically been able to touch?
With my gloves. So technically my hands have not touched anything because I'm being very careful, but I can count them out for you. I think probably, I won't count them, but probably about 30, I would assume.
30.
Yeah.
What is it like to hold a piece of outer space in your hand?
I'm so scared that I'm gonna make a mistake. And I'm very careful with them because I feel very bad about maybe accidentally chipping them. So I feel like I'm holding a baby bird. But it's amazing to think about the fact that these were literally from outer space and they entered our atmosphere.
Do you see any connection between the work you're doing? Well, first of all, tell me about what is the work that you're doing? What does Bob have you do?
So I'm using this SLS scanner, structured light scanner, to make 3D models of these meteorites. Or I guess I just make scans and then I process the scans to make the 3D models of them. And he's hoping to put all this entire 3D catalog into a database so that everyone can pull it up at any time and look through our collection. I can show you the scanners right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
show
it's not
us
working
the
now.
equipment you're
Sorry.
using. Got it.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for those of you who don't have a camera or for the podcast, can you describe in words what it's like? Is it basically just like a camera on a tripod or is it more to it than that?
It is kind of a camera on a tripod, but there's more happening in the optics side of things. It shines a pattern of light on the rocks to get the texture, and it shines different colors on it also, so that it's actually creating a color accurate model when it's 3D. When you pull it up, it has all the grooves and it has all of the only things that are not super accurate are the shiny sides because it reflects weird. But other than that, it will shine red, green, blue. And then we notice it shines another color light, but only for a split second. We can't tell exactly what it is. We think it might just be a darker shade of green, but but
Okay,
sorry.
so you've got these three-dimensional models in your computer that kind of show what the meteorite is. Tell me some of the things you can use these models for. Why
So
are we doing this?
within the same software that we process the scans, we're also able to measure the surface area and the volume of the scans. And with that information and with the mass, which we have a scale over there for, Brother Bob can then measure the density of the meteorites. And he does research on the density and the porosity and other physical properties of the meteorites.
Now, a number of these samples have already been measured for density. I remember doing that because I started that project 30 years ago. And we used a totally different system using glass beads as an Archimedean fluid.
One of the ones I scanned actually had glass beads still in one of the grooves.
Oh no, I'm so embarrassed. I'm supposed to have brushed those off. Do you have enough data points to be able to compare the volumes and the densities that I found 30 years ago with the volumes and the densities that you're finding?
We do. Every single time I complete the processing, I send it over to Brother Bob and then he compares it with your numbers. And there was one that I think did not match up. And he said, maybe this is mislabeled. Maybe this is misclassified. Maybe there was a
Or,
mistake.
or maybe Brother Guy screwed it up when he made the measurement 30 years ago.
Or maybe we need to take another SLS scan, try one more time just to validate.
Is there any kind of systematic difference? Is the one scan slightly bigger, slightly smaller, anything like that?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, yeah. Is there, when you have a rock and there's a 30-year-old measurement and the measurement you've made, do you notice that all the time yours are a little bit smaller or a little bit larger than the old measurements?
I actually haven't been told. He'll just
Ah,
tell me, oh, it matches up really well. But
okay.
I'm not actually sure what they look like. I haven't seen
All
your
right.
numbers.
Okay. So you've measured about 30 of these so far.
Yeah, I think so.
And how many do you hope to get through during the summer?
So I'm a little under halfway, but I'm also quicker now that I know how to do this. So I want to aim for 80.
Okay. And
Yeah,
how long are you there then? How many more weeks are you there?
5,
Okay. And you've been there how long?
4.
4 weeks. So you're halfway through the data and you're halfway through the time there.
Yeah. And then the first week though, I was very slow because when we were processing, I would zoom in very close. I'd be like, there's one data point that's a bit of an outlier. And then eventually, Brother Bob told me, sometimes the payoff for chasing those tiny dots is not worth the difference that the volume will be. And you could chase those forever. So I've learned, the judgment calls of when it's time to stop.
Yeah. The classic, the perfect is the enemy of the good. I want you to go back and remember when you first landed in Rome. How did you get from the airport to where you're going? And what did it feel like the first time you were walking around a foreign country that you were going to be living in for a couple of months?
Well, my first thought was this hill's gonna kill me because I walked up the hill and I was sweating. I had to, as someone said earlier, I had to change my outfit when I got to the top of the hill because it was so steep and I was sweating so bad.
So you took the train from the airport?
Not from the airport. We actually, Boston College hired private drivers to drive us
Oh,
from the
okay.
airport. So shout out to Boston College for that. But the first time I got off the train, because I used the train to go to Rome, and then when
Ah,
I got back, obviously the station is at the bottom of the hill. And so I walked up the hill for the first time, and that was a surprise.
okay. But you must have gotten off then at Castel Gandolfo rather than going all the way to Albano.
I got off at Albano.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
good heavens. The hill from Castel Gandolfo is 10 times worse.
I've heard. It could be worse.
So, how did you experience just the sights, the smells, the feel of the air? What did you remember the first time that you woke up and you realized, oh my gosh, I'm in Italy?
Well, the streets here are all cobblestone, which I find very charming. So I feel like I can romanticize it a lot. I feel like I'm in a movie. I walk outside, even just looking at just the buildings, even though they're just cement, I'm able to be like, wow, it's gorgeous. But in Rome, I would say I was shocked. This sounds kind of dumb, but I was pretty shocked how spread out everything was. I know obviously Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't see it all in a day. But I really was surprised by the fact that I was taking 30,000 steps trying to see only half of the things.
Hmm. Have you tried out the food and what's your favorite?
I have. So there's actually a gelateria right across the piazza from the lab, and I go there twice a day because it's
Excellent.
hot out and I need to cool off. But I get a piccolo, which is 2 scoops, and I get fragola, which is strawberry, and pistachio, the second scoop.
Ah, you've been there long enough to know it's pronounced pistachio
Yeah.
and not pistachio.
Yeah.
One of the people on this call is himself a grad of Boston College. Why did you choose to go to BC? What attracted you rather than, and what were some of the other schools you were thinking of?
I liked, so the core curriculum, getting into it, it did eventually, it has its ups and downs, but when I chose it, I really liked the core curriculum because I think physics in general is a pretty broad degree. I mean, you can't it's not like anyone specifically looking to hire someone, I don't think, with just a bachelor's in physics. You kind of have to go on for more and go on either for a PhD in physics, but also you could go on for a master's in some type of engineering or something more narrowed down. But I liked that physics was broad because I was 18 and I wasn't really ready to commit to something super niche yet. And I think I felt the same way about the core curriculum because it meant that I was able to take I've never taken a philosophy class before. I'm not really sure what high schoolers take philosophy. So to be able to take philosophy and religion and theater, all types of things was a pretty nice opportunity in my opinion. But also BC gives great financial aid. So that was also a good reason.
Okay. What were some of the other schools you were comparing it against?
Villanova was the main one that I was putting it up against, and then SUNY Stony Brook, I would say, was the third choice after that. Or
Okay,
University of Rochester. University of Rochester was also one because I would have majored in optics if I went to University of Rochester, but I didn't want to stay at home.
It's funny you mentioned schools where I have friends in each of those places, so they all would have been good schools.
Yeah.
But an interesting set of choices. What can you think of something that you are learning this summer that you would not have learned about being a scientist?
That being this is another, this sounds kind of like it should be obvious, but the amount of creative thinking that I have needed just to scan the meteorites has been surprising to me. I'm a very logical, straightforward thing. I'm not great at thinking creatively or artistically, and it turns out the 3D printing part requires a lot of creativity and even just coming up with, well, what do I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing. What shape should I create to help make this process go along more smoothly? That's more artistic than I thought it would be.
Ooh, tell me more about that. What exactly are you 3D printing? That it's obviously more than just the rock, right?
Yeah. So it turns out when you scan these meteorites, I will hold it up. The top and bottom will never scan very well. So you want three different orientations. You want one vertical, one horizontal, and then one on like the Z axis. So X, Y, and Z. And when you prop it up, you have to also kind of put it up higher because the camera, especially for the small meteorites, the camera's pretty high up. So you have to give it a height boost, but also get it to stay the way it is without blocking any of the view. Because as I noticed last week, if you put a tiny meteorite in a piece like this and it's like sitting in the middle and these pieces are sticking up blocking it, even if you cut them out during the processing, it will still show up in the color of the 3D model because it uses this for the texture remapping. So even though I cut out these little prongs, it will still, when you pull up the 3D model of the meteorite, it still has these pictures of these three prongs. So you have to come up with a way to not actually have any height on the tools that you're using, but to still have it propping it up and have it stable enough that when the turntable abruptly starts and stops, the meteorite doesn't fall over. So this is an example. I didn't build this one. Brother Bob built this one, but this is for skinny slab pieces. So you can have it sitting vertically because this little top piece will hold the skinny slab.
Again, people are going to be listening without seeing. So describe
Sorry.
in words what you're looking at, what you've got there.
All right, my bad. So there's an adjustable piece on the top, and you can adjust the height so that it matches the meteorite. And then there's a little prong to hold the top of the meteorite in place. And then there's a platform at the bottom with little ridges so that there's friction. And so you can sit up a skinny slab on its skinny edge and have it rotate around without it falling over. I created a piece with three little pyramids in the shape of a triangle, and then there's a little cutout in the middle that the meteorite can sit in. And these pyramids are only about probably an inch tall because again, you don't want them blocking the meteorites, but I created those and I realized this is something I didn't learn until week 4, but for the 3 different orientations, the texture mapping seems to depend mostly on the first one that you do. So it's okay to use the tools that are in the way for the second and third orientation, but you want to try to avoid that for the first one. And I've also learned that the software is not very good at the alignment when you're using tools with smooth sides. So we have a tool here, or not even a tool, just a cube. It's a flat 6-sided cube, but every time we use it, the software does not really align it well at all. So although it's nice to be able to prop up a meteorite a couple inches on the cube, I try to avoid it because the software doesn't deal with it very well. And then when I create the tools going forward, I put in little textures all over it so that it's helpful for the alignment and I don't have the same issues as I do with the cube.
Meanwhile, you've had some chance to visit Rome itself. It sounds
Yes.
like you've been in there, though it's been very hot and very hot. What have you seen, and what was your impression of Rome?
It's very hot. I wouldn't come in the summer. Is my idea. If I ever come back, I would like to come in the fall. I accidentally stumbled upon like the Spanish Steps. Not even intentionally. I was just on my way to like McDonald's. And I was like, oh, there's the Spanish Steps. So it's amazing that you can just bump into things because there's history all around. The Colosseum, the amount of people that are, or I'll say the Trevi Fountain, the amount of people that are around, even though they just added something where you have to pay to actually get down to the bottom of the Trevi Fountain, but that doesn't really matter because there's still an unbelievable amount of people. You have to go at 4 in the morning if you would like to be there alone. So obviously I knew Rome would be crowded, but really just the scale of how crowded it is around the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain is not like incomprehensible.
Have you had a chance to visit the Vatican?
I have not. I wanted to go. Isn't it, it's free on the last Sunday of every month, I think, or the first?
Pay the fee, get Bob to fund you the
Yeah.
money. Good heavens.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the last weekend that I'm here in July. The last
And that's
full
just the museum. It's free to get into St. Peter's, of course.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's definitely worth it.
And I'm going into Rome tomorrow as well, actually.
Okay.
So I think I might go to St. Peter's tomorrow, but the Vatican Museum I might save for the last weekend in July.
Have you had a chance to see the Pope yet?
No, we almost did because there are 2 other BC interns working at the Borgo, and they said there was some kind of thing where you could like wave goodbye to the Pope as he was leaving. But
You pull back and explain this to the folks in our audience. Why would the Pope be leaving? What is the Borgo? What is the geography of this whole situation?
so the Pope comes to Castel Gandolfo as like a retreat, I guess, like to relax, and he does this like once a week. Is that correct? He comes here once a week, I believe on Tuesdays. And the Borgo is right next to us, or at least the entrance to the Borgo is right next to the entrance to.
And what is the Borgo?
I know that they give tours of the gardens. They give tours of where the Pope stays, but I don't know much more than that actually.
Your other BC, are you all living together? They don't talk about the work they're doing?
They're doing tours.
Oh.
Yeah. They're giving tours in Italian and they don't speak fluent Italian, so that is fun for them.
Have you
But
been on one of their tours?
not yet, no.
Okay. But they haven't explained to you what this Borgo Laudato Si is all about.
No.
Well, that's not surprising because they haven't explained it to us either. And every time we do hear it, it's something different. These are the people who have taken over a large part of the Papal Gardens, where the Vatican Observatory headquarters is also established. So they are our neighbors. But they keep sort of changing what it is they exactly want to do with these gardens, except that they've built this giant UFO in the middle of where you go. Have you had a chance to actually see other parts of the gardens or our other telescopes?
Other than where we drove through, no.
So what have you seen?
The Vatican Observatory half of things, and then whatever we drove through to get there.
Well, describe to people what you saw. What is the Vatican Observatory half?
The Vatican, there are domes, and there's giant.
Where are the domes? Where are the domes?
Uh, next to the gardens.
Okay. And then there's domes on the Papal Palace. Have you been to the Papal Palace yet?
No.
Ah, well, you've got to tell Bob he's got to take you there as well. But just talk about the domes that are located within the gardens that has our visitor center. What did you see there?
Yeah. So I know that there's a photo up of the three women who helped with, I believe, the Carte du Ciel, like the map of the stars. And I know that there's a bunch of huge telescopes. I know there's a video of what like the moon landing that you can watch, and the Pope watching the moon landing and saying the message to them, like, oh, like this is amazing. We are so happy for you. There's a bunch of little, it's kind of like a museum in there. There's a bunch of photographs of space. There's a globe that was like gifted to you guys. It was I don't know, there was a lot of stuff in there.
Did you see any of the artwork in the lower level?
I think on our way out we saw artwork, but it was it like of stars?
Yes.
Yeah. Then we did see it.
I should mention that the artist of one of those pieces is on this call. I was trying to get you to say nice things about her piece of art.
Yeah. It was there. I was overstimulated that day. It's not that I don't remember it. I remember it. There was also a light up piece, I believe. Like it was a piece of art that you had to like press a button and it lit up like the stars, and there was a lot. It was all very pretty. And then I remember the paintings, it was different planets in each painting, and
Yes.
yeah, but like the time period in which like they were painted was not actually like accurate. It
You know,
was like intentionally,
1711. Yeah.
yeah, so it was intentionally in the style of a different period. That was cool
So
too.
we'll pull back now because we're coming close to the end of this. When you talk to your family back in the US, what do you usually talk about? What do you think you're going to remember? What is it that you tell your friends that being at the Vatican Observatory did for you?
So one of the main things that drew me here was the fact that I had to fulfill my theology core last semester. And we read a piece from C.S. Lewis called The Cardinal Difficulty of Naturalism. And it spoke about how naturalism disproves itself because it doesn't take into account the thinker. And that kind of led me into this path of questioning how religion and science could really coexist. But being here, it's pretty obvious that they always have coexisted. The Gregorian calendar, that was so long ago, and that was all Pope funded. So understanding how those two go together, and how you guys help out with helping me understand it and helping everyone all over the world understand that. That's what I think will be my main takeaway this summer.
I can't beat that one. That's, you hit all the bells right there. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you for having me on this call and this summer.
Fantastic. And everybody here, see you all next full moon.
Bye.